Hi guys, and welcome back to the next episode of the Before Death podcast. I am Paul, also known as Pestily, and next to me is Michael. We are currently in where, Michael?
We are currently in. Are we in Killarney?
Yes, we're in Killarney,
which
in
is
Ireland.
Not too far away from Dublin, which is in the south of Ireland.
It's about 3 hours away, Michael. And what is that accent?
That accent was my epitome of awesomeness. And next to me is Dekie. Dekie, what are we doing right now? Getting ready for tomorrow.
Top of the morning to ya. It's me.
Is it Philippe?
A leprechaun.
A leprechaun. Oh, well, do we have some exciting characters to
God.
introduce to you today?
But hey guys, what's up? It's your boy Dekie. We're in Killarney. We're gonna be climbing Carron Hill tomorrow. Which has a specific part of it that is called the Devil's Ladder, but we'll get to that later. Because next to me is our very handsome young man named Jared.
This is not Jared. This is Mark.
Oh, and I don't think
and
we're
this
ready for
Devil's
Mark.
Ladder shit is
Goodness.
So, actually, we actually last left everyone in the Netherlands, where I smoked weed for the first
The
time.
devil's lettuce.
the
I think
Devil's
keep on theme.
We're on theme.
Yeah, how are we feeling after that experience?
Eh.
Yeah.
It opened my eyes.
Did it?
I've seen the world entirely differently after we got high that night.
Really?
Nothing's ever been the same.
Honestly,
Hold on.
I've been
It
very
basically
tempted to keep going with doing it again.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an addiction.
Yeah, I bet you. Yeah, you got addicted to the weed.
Well, that's what they say. The gateway
It's the gateway drug to what?
to the devil.
So
Satan.
where we let's get to the point, the parts, the pieces.
Yeah, how shit were the hills in Netherlands, Belgium, and Luxembourg?
I actually enjoyed that day
Why?
because there were no heavy climbs to do.
It's quite flat.
It was great. It's some of the best climbs I've done. I was on record pace.
I just want to make point right here. The Belgian's peak was pathetic. Not only the fact that
Belgium was pathetic.
It wasn't hard to get up, but it was the fact that what they decided to do was not only was it the highest point that they decided to put a mound of dirt there, but they were weren't sure if they could really nail it down by putting in 12 stairs.
No, it was more the internet for me at the time. So.
Well, I myself will not comment on any of these countries, but I hated that day because I had to wear the vest all day.
You had to wear the vest of shame.
Why did you wear the vest of shame, Jared?
And you weren't wearing it at the start of the day either.
I crashed the car.
Yeah.
Crash is an overstatement.
Yeah. I lightly nicked the car.
All right, I'm going to show my ass to the podcast, so you Spotify viewers get to miss out here.
Why?
So I slightly bumped the car on the way to our first location.
But what was your motivation for crashing the car?
I really had to pee.
And everybody knows when you're driving a car and you park and you need to pee,
You do it quickly and you don't quite look where you're going. So I did some negligible damage to the car. And now that's the new standard, motor vehicle accidents for wearing the vest.
Yes.
So as long as no one crashes a car or causes...
And leave a mark.
Well, there's been 2 days of vests of shame. One was for a gaming incident and one was for a car incident.
Yeah, but I don't think the gaming incident's going to happen again. I feel like the bar has been raised. And I'm quite upset about that too.
Nobody's worn the vest of shame since.
No.
In fact, I think it's ruined a lot of the trip because now all of us just don't do anything because it might result in us wearing the vest of shame.
Should we get rid of the vest of
There's
shame?
been a lot of incidences where I've been like, dude, I could do that, but then I'm like, it could go wrong, and I'm not going to wear that.
Yeah,
then I don't.
I thought about crashing the drone multiple times and because of that vest.
I feel like there's been opportunity for that of recent times. But you wore the vest of shame. We went to 3 very small peaks and visited 3 countries.
I actually want to speak up here. I think we should just get rid of the vest of shame.
Nope, vest stays.
No, I like it.
That's a statement.
It's good.
The vest stays until everyone wears it at least once.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, that's agreed. We've got Dekie, and you only wore it for 2 hours. So,
Yeah, but that was on stream. Doesn't really
yeah,
count.
that's true.
We also there's a lot of things to cover. I'm just going everywhere. We almost started an entirely new venture. I'm not going to go into details because I don't want anybody to steal it. But it came very close when you're in Edinburgh.
It was called Wings.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
So anyone who knows Paul knows that he has millions of ideas every day. And
Very doable, like logical, doable ideas.
yeah, and we had heard from some people that there was a wings restaurant And I don't really know how it happened, but we almost, all of us instead, except for Dekie,
which
agreed.
is a shock because Dekie is the most unrealistic person, is always keen to fuck shit up and get like, let's go.
Yeah. So we all agreed, except for Dekie, to invest all of our money, and by our money, I mean all of Paul's money, into a wings restaurant in Adelaide, which I still think would be a great idea.
Yeah, well, we went to a wings restaurant in Edinburgh.
We tried.
And we went there. And they didn't sell any of the hot sauces.
Oh, yeah.
No, they didn't sell. They didn't have. They displayed that they sold those hot sauces.
And they were all out.
And they said, oh, can we get that? Oh, we've just ruled out of that. That was my Scottish accent. Just
And why were we trying to do the hot sauces in the first place?
I want Dekie to tell this story.
So we are going to do the Three Peaks Challenge, which is where you climb the highest mountain in Scotland, England, and Wales in 24 hours, which involves driving all between those and climbing it all within 24 hours. And us being the very experienced climbers that we are, we were like, well, that's too easy. And Paul's been like, dude, I've been watching videos on this. Like, kids are beating this challenge. Like, it's easy shit. And I was full on with it. I was like, yeah, like, this is big hills. Those aren't even mountains. And so I don't know how it came up. Originally, Paul wanted us to all go eat some hot curry or wings. And then it just kind of transformed to that too. Let's have Michael eat hot curry or wings. Because fuck Michael. So
Well, we learned about this at the meetup, the restaurants. The
yeah,
spicy
and
stuff.
so there's these two restaurants. One's an Indian restaurant that has a super hot curry that if you can eat it all, you don't have to pay for it. So it's like a challenge.
But
hot
you have
curry.
to sign a death waiver.
Yeah, and same with the wing place. If you eat these ass blasting wings, then you have to sign a death waiver, and if you eat it, you get them for free. So they're actually hot. It's not just like, give me your hottest wings, you still pay for it. They expect you not to finish it. So we were like, let's do that and have Michael do it so that he's like shitting himself the entire way up and down these hills.
Because making the weakest climber and a fit person eat the worst amount of food and almost kill himself the day before a climb is a great idea to make a challenge.
I think I need to chime in now.
Go on.
Because originally I said, would you do it? And he goes, I don't know. And I go, for $500.
I was like,
And Michael was like,
I'll do
I'm
it.
down.
Yeah, for $500,
100%
I will
down.
do that.
So it wasn't just like, I'm going to pick on Michael.
No, I said I don't remember how I got to Michael. Or I think I said that.
But
I
you
don't
just
know.
went straight to fuck Michael.
Yeah,
I mean,
and then-
that was the goal.
How did the kilt get tied into all of this?
No,
I said, would you like a kilt instead
No,
of
the
$500?
kilt originally started because you wanted us all to wear kilts
Yeah.
at the start of the trip and go around.
It was to go-
But we were just going to rent them
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
the day.
And then originally you saw a kilt and you're like, oh, what if I got you a kilt instead of $500? And I was like, hell's yeah, I'll take a kilt. Because I want a kilt. Why wouldn't you?
And yeah, so we preemptively bought the kilt.
Yeah.
And then we went to the curry place. Turns out it was closed.
Mm-hmm.
And then we went to the wings place.
They were
And
open.
They were very helpful. Well, the one waitress was very helpful.
She was very nice.
She
She was
tried
lovely.
all of the options to give us something to torture Michael with.
Yes.
And they were out of everything.
Yeah. So we tried to do the challenge and they're like, sorry, we've run out of that sauce. And she's like, let me go out the back. We've got one in a safe that they like an Armageddon sauce. And they had to have the fumigate room. Made all this story, went back. We haven't got that. And we're like, all right, we'll get this other one that's on your menu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thunder Kitty or whatever.
We had it was called, can we bleep it out?
Oh, you might as well
It was
just
called Thunder. And they're like, oh, we've run out of that as well. And we were just like, just tell us what's on the menu and then we'll order. And then
yeah.
And
So-
then we got water and left.
At this stage, when all hope was lost, the trip was pretty much ruined.
you guys were like ready
Yeah,
to off
it was
yourselves.
over.
You were so depressing. It was horrible.
we even got a deep fried Mars bar. It didn't help.
We had some ice cream with it.
Yeah.
Ice cream didn't even make me happy.
No,
No.
and then we went and saw Under the City in Mary's Close.
All right, this is maybe jumping a bit far ahead, but thinking back, you know what we should have got Michael to eat? 5 spicy McChickens.
Oh, God. Nobody deserves that fate.
Wasn't it 6? Didn't you eat
Yes.
6?
All right, we'll get to the McChickens later, but
The spicy ones.
at the end of the day, no one ate anything spicy, and we go to do this challenge the next day.
We also saw Underneath the City.
Yeah.
So, guys, first off, we're supposed to be doing a first
Yeah.
of something today.
Yeah.
So I say we either have to eat a pack of instant coffee
Yeah.
with no liquid
I like that.
or
I've never done that.
put a sock in our mouth.
I've done that before.
I got some.
What have you? Rhymes with socked.
All right. Who's putting my cock in their mouth?
Hi, Mum. Hi, Dad.
Thought this was supposed to be a first.
All right. It looks like we're all having instant coffee.
What about we snort some Gamus up?
Yeah. I mean,
Ooh.
it's 9 p.m. at night. We have to get up at 6. I kind of want to sleep.
No, we're going to leave at 5:30.
All right, we can stay up. That worked pretty well for during the 3 Peaks challenge.
Eating the sachet of coffee is going to be much better.
Yeah, I don't want to do that either.
I don't know. What can we do?
Anyway.
What candy have you got?
This is
I'm not wearing any socks.
you can use Michael's.
Did you put it all in?
I haven't got a gag reflex like you.
Whew.
I was going to wear those socks tomorrow.
Those socks have been worn 4 days without being washed. I wore those on laundry day, so those are actually it's probably more than 4 days. At
All
this
right.
point, but
Now that we've done an embracing life first moment.
So we went on to the 3 Peaks challenge, and we were extremely overconfident.
Oh, we woke up at 7
No.
in the morning.
We were extremely overconfident.
You were going to try. How can we make Michael, the slowest person, suffer and slow us down on the mountain?
I never said that.
and there was once we realized that we weren't going to be doing Michael with spicy, there was other things. I remember somebody specifically saying we need to make this harder than it is.
We tossed around the idea of getting wasted.
Yeah,
the
we
night
talked
before.
about downing a bottle of like whiskey.
No. The challenge I thought up was actually pretty sweet.
Which one?
That you had to down a bottle of spirits on each mountain, but you obviously all have to drive. So you have to like pace it.
Yeah.
So you need one person to stay sober for at least 2 of the mountains so they can drive. But they could be shared.
After what I've heard about the Wales laws about the Welsh, about their laws on drinking, I'm glad we didn't do that.
Why?
Because it's like any smidgen of alcohol, there's not even like a 0.5, like you are gone.
For drink driving?
Yep.
Well, then I would have just stayed sober till the last one, and on the last mountain, I would have had to drink the whole bottle myself.
There you go.
That's why they lock you in the pub.
Yeah.
We'll
We'll get
get
to
to that
that.
later.
3 Peaks challenge. We got up at 7 in the morning, and what time did we start the 3 Peaks challenge?
5 p.m.
5 p.m.
And
Why did
who
we get
came
up
with
at
us
7?
to get to the mountain that we had to go to?
Our boy.
No, we didn't have to get up at 7.
But we got up
did.
at 7.
We went to the airport at 9.
What?
We went to the
We got
airport
an
that
Uber
day?
at 9 o'clock
No, to get the car.
to pick up the car.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but we still got up at 7.
That's our own
You
fault.
were the one that got up, and
No.
we were all in the same room.
Maybe I had a shower.
You did,
There you go.
I had a shower too.
as did I.
Um,
We started the 3 Peaks challenge. And we met our. We had a couple of guys come, but we had a guy that joined us on there. Jono joined us on the mountain.
good old John.
He was
Jonathan
great.
was great.
Jono, it was great.
John Boy.
We loved it. We wanted to bring him to the next mountain as
We
well.
had David meet us before it, wasn't it?
I think it was David from
Yeah.
Memora.
Somewhere 3 hours away on
Yeah.
the east.
So
But-
we start off. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No,
go
go-
ahead.
go,
please.
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 No, I can't.
After you.
I can't remember.
Dekie, you go.
Okay. So we go full steam ahead on this mountain. Feeling pretty good, but it's hot. We're getting sweaty.
Yeah.
We're going good on the way up. Slinkying a bit. Getting
You guys are going good. I was dying. I was in a
Yeah,
kilt.
the start of that was miserable as shit. It was so hot.
Yeah.
It was so hot.
Sun beating down.
And everything we had read about Ben Nevis, which is a Scottish mountain, was all like covered in fog, miserable, raining, just
Snow.
a horribly not fun climb because of weather just sucking. And instead of the weather sucking, it was too good. And it was just hot.
Mm-hmm.
I was sweating to death. It was miserable out there.
Was
Michael started off fully clothed with a kilt on, and by the end of it, he had nothing on but a kilt.
but
Yeah.
a kilt. And yeah, off full kilt.
yeah. What I
Nothing
will say,
underneath.
great. I'm a bit of a chafer without underwear, and I started without underwear. Sunscreen works as a great
Lubricant.
lubricant for between the thighs and the scrotum area.
There you go.
So
On the way up, nothing really eventful happened, did it?
No, we went up.
Yeah. Well,
What do you remember?
tension. I could feel tensions building as we were going up.
Really?
I
Yeah.
couldn't. Did
Just
you?
because I felt like we weren't quite moving as fast as we want.
Oh.
Yeah,
We're
by
still in
tensions, he means that people were being slow as fuck, and we were on a time limit.
Yeah.
No, I felt slow. I felt very slow in that mountain.
Yeah. So this is our first big climb after 2 months of inactivity.
Yeah.
We were fit after the last trip.
Yeah.
But we're back. And
We had time to get unfit.
yeah.
Very much time to get unfit.
Don't look at me.
No,
So
I'm looking for reassurance of, you are unfit, Michael.
I thought you did all right.
we get to the top.
You were sick for a lot of their downtime. I think we should emphasize that.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
It literally, like, 4 weeks, we were home for 5 weeks, and 4 of those weeks I couldn't actually do anything because I was very, very ill. So that was
Yeah.
great. But no, it went up that mountain, very sweaty. We got to the top.
Yeah,
with
not much
Jono.
of a view. It was pretty foggy. Dekie and I downed a bottle of local. It was basically Scottish Four Loko called
Dragon soup.
Dragon soup.
And there was a bunch of lads up there that having a bit of the devil's lettuce.
They were.
Yeah.
A bit of a smoke sesh.
And if I wasn't live streaming, I was tempted to go over and say hello.
yeah.
I almost flashed the stream,
You
Yeah.
very much did.
but I also did flash Jono by accident. I told Jono to close his eyes, and I still had it up, and then he opened his eyes.
Yeah. So on the way down, we did the classic mistake of getting separated.
Yeah, that was my fault. I was like,
Yeah,
I'll just
it
go a
was-
little bit ahead. My knees play up.
We all
It was
played a
all of
role
our
in that.
faults.
No, it was a
No.
zigzagging mixture. Even if you tried to call out, you couldn't hear.
Yeah, I was really confused. Like, I'll put it out there. I was confused. I was going down and I was like, where the fuck is everyone?
Yeah.
I was stopping and I was like doing a full like David Attenborough documentary on these lambs.
Yeah.
Like, look at it in the wild as this creepily comes up to the steps. And and I just didn't know where you
good,
guys
David
were.
Attenborough.
And then a drone flew down on me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So just like on Musala, where Jared and I got left when they got the gondola because I lost the GoPro, Jared and I stayed up to get some sick drone footage and also maybe fucking the hermit's cabin. And,
Jonathan was there as
they
well.
went down. Yeah, Jonathan was not ready for what we did. Jonathan, I think, felt very much out of his element. Jonathan,
Yeah.
for watching, man. Thanks for hanging out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Also
especially
filming
that-
those like angles where it's down, like right. Okay, well,
That couple that was up there was not impressed either.
oh my god, dude, they were not.
they were waiting their turn for the hermit shack.
What are you guys doing? Oh, yeah.
We're filming some.
There's a lot of monkey noises. Yeah,
Can we explain the monkey noises?
We'll get to
soon
it.
enough.
Okay.
So they headed down a little bit early, and we stayed up there a little bit, and we started our way down, and we got to one point right after you had talked to the Norwegian couple, and we saw you.
And I saw you, and I
Yeah,
saw
yeah.
Paul. So I was being like the bridge in the middle, and I was trying to keep that bridge,
And at that point, we decided to take shortcut.
which I kept going because I saw Paul, and I turned around and I couldn't see them anymore, and I was like, "Where did they go? What's happening?" And I stopped for a while, and I even did like a full on like emotional story. I'm like, I don't want to do what I did in Mastala. I want to be able to stop and see them. I can hear them, and yeah. So
And at this point, we had passed Michael and left him.
eventually, and it was a little while after, I probably should have straight away pulled out my phone, but like I rang Dekie. I'm like, Dekie, are you all good? He's like, where are you? I'm like, you're behind me, aren't you? And then like I got really confused. Turns out they'd taken a shortcut, gotten in front. By this time, we'd kind of been standing around for like maybe 10, 20 minutes.
But at this point, we still thought it was okay because we could see Paul, and we
Yeah.
were trying to yell at Paul. But he was busy doing a David Attenborough documentary, so he didn't hear us. So it was like everybody kind of thought it was okay, but it was not okay because we were wasting like an hour and a half of time.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of time lost from
Yeah.
us. Just like, you know, the John Travolta, and he's like that gif, and he's like,
yeah.
that was me multiple
No.
times. Like,
I think that was all three of the groups at one point because after I'd lost them, I'd lost you, and I was waiting for them, and then it was great.
so we eventually all caught up,
And we ran.
and we just started running. I was running,
Man.
and I was surprised how well my knee held up because we were full on running
Yeah, we were moving well.
at that point, but we're already lost like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And we cruised down there. My knee felt fine, but I definitely got some blisters on my feet from that run.
Yeah.
Which I'm still picking at right now.
Why are you picking at his blisters, or are you picking your own?
My own.
Oh,
It's outside.
that's
Kick on.
outside.
So we get back to the car. We don't even take a second to wipe our sweat.
Oh, we all hugged Jonathan.
Yeah, we hugged John. and we just literally throw everything into the car. Like I'm sitting on top of snacks and water bottles, just like strap in and go. And we're on the road. We're driving before we even got the GPS directions in. It's go, go, go.
Yeah.
I know I was pretty beat at this point, and wearing that kilt.
And it's now 11 p.m.
Yeah, I'm wearing that kilt. I was so sweaty down here. Like it was like the Everglades. It was so, and it wasn't cooling down in the car because there was no more breeze.
And we were meant to be down by 10 p.m. So it was like at this stage, we had some time to catch up.
Yeah.
And so I did the classic,
got to beat the race car.
got to beat the GPS.
Yep.
And you beat it.
I took over half an hour off the GPS.
No, we got half an hour. I think I took 7 minutes off during my time of driving.
Yeah.
Yeah. And luckily during that 4.5 hour drive, Dekie and I got 8 hours of sleep.
Not combined each.
I could hear you guys tossing and turning the whole time.
It was a horrible
I was
experience.
sitting there going, those guys are not sleeping at
But the
all.
Audi did a really good job.
The
I thought it was
Audi?
comfortable.
The Audi.
The back seats
sucked.
are like, they're vertical. And then you have the headrest that's like pushing your head slightly forward. So you're like constantly falling forward. And there's no place to rest your head comfortably. So yeah, it was very uncomfortable to sleep.
Side note, if you're in the chat right now, is it Audi or Audi? Just wanted to know. Put in the
And
comments.
German specifically, we're trying to get this solved.
Yeah, there's been a bit of a debate between us. We won't say what we think. We don't want to influence the vote.
Yeah, so we're driving to the next mountain.
We get there.
We get there, and
Well,
we are like,
I also want to take a step back. Walking down Ben Nevis was one of the best views
yeah.
I've had in my
was.
life.
It was very
There's
nice.
a shot of
Yeah.
you that just makes me need to change my shot.
Check out the Instagram.
Check out the Instagram post. I almost had to change my shot.
that was when he was on the phone with you.
Oh, was it? Oh.
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah.
It was honestly the most picturesque thing I have seen in my life. I'm not even memeing.
It really was. It was gorgeous. You had like lakes, a river, like
clouds, just enough
mountains.
cloud cover so the
Cliffs.
sun could pierce through
Yeah,
it.
like the
sheep,
God rays.
grass.
Yeah, it was.
Hue, like they had the hue of the red, but then it was all clear and sunny at the front. It was just like it was rolling into this beautiful painting.
You would
you
not
could
need to put that in Lightroom or Photoshop to make it look any better. It was straight just good.
Yeah. So flash forward a couple hours to something a lot more depressing. The sun's just coming up, and we have that feeling of when you've been out partying all night and you hear the birds chirping, and you're like, "I really need to go to sleep," but we weren't going to sleep.
Nope.
It's time to get up for work.
Yeah, and I think I had to shit really badly.
Oh
I
my
did.
God.
It came out.
Oh God.
We had
Like
a
the
few
devil.
bathroom troubles on this
Yeah,
trip
this
overall.
was a tricky one.
Thankfully, we were actually back on time.
We were.
somehow.
I think we were like 14 to 15 minutes ahead of where we should
No,
have been.
we were back on time.
Okay, back on time.
And we had Spanish John.
Spanish John.
He was ready
sitting
to
there
go.
waiting for us like a champion.
Oh, he
Yeah.
took the day off work, called up sick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another guy, we kind of said,
Hopefully
I'll come a
there's
bit
no
later.
fires
and
that
he-
day.
Sorry?
Hopefully there's no fires that day.
He's a firefighter.
Another guy was coming there, and we told him, "Oh, we're going to be here at this certain time." We ended up getting there early, and unfortunately, we didn't wait for him because we were like, we haven't got time.
Did not have time.
And this was the point that I think for me, frustrations was rising because I was tired, sore, and I just wanted to get the fuck up and down this hill.
Yeah. So I had just downed like 3 or 4 scoops of gamer subs. So I was
Wait,
what
did you drink on the first mountain? Did you drink any water on the first
I
mountain?
drank a prime.
Okay.
And so I drank. We'll document my whole hydration. So on the first mountain, I drank a prime.
And a prime
Then when we
is
got back to the
Just an energy drink?
just
Not
like a
energy
hydration drink.
Hydration drink.
And then when we got back, I drank 2 full bottles of electrolytes. So
Yeah.
I was pretty hydrated at that point. Going up the next mountain.
Oh, so hydrated.
So I downed a couple things of gamer scoops or gamer subs, and my heart rate was through the roof. But I had a bunch of artificial energy, so I was making monkey noises. I was saying all the stupidest shit I could possibly think of, trying to get the morale high,
Yep.
trying to get you guys out of your, because you guys were just driving, you were focusing. At least we didn't sleep, but at least we got to close our eyes and just like think about how much
I had a few
pain we were
micro
in.
sleeps on that. Like, I think Paul was talking to me, and I was like,
My during the drive, you talking about? Or
"Yeah." Whilst you were driving, I had a few micro
That's
sleeps.
against the
I-
rules.
I
You were in the front.
Yeah, well, it's
I know.
again,
Yeah, no
best-
sleeping
Anyway.
in the front.
Going up this thing, my
Also
heart
good.
rate was just like in the hurt locker.
Yeah.
And I'm just walking up and I was just like, all I could hear about was how during primitive Empire,
Chimp Empire.
Chimp
Chimp
Empire, there was like another 2-hour discussion.
How Jackson
Yeah,
accepted the grooming from Miles,
Yeah.
and Miles and like actually returned the grooming.
These guys have not spoken about anything but Chimp Empire for like literally
Honestly, that
at
listening
this
to that
stage
was my
about a
favorite.
day. So you should probably explain what it is right now.
I feel like I don't want to watch it. I just want you to watch it fully and then explain it to me.
Yeah.
I haven't watched it, and I've been talking about it like I'm an expert.
You've talked about it like you've seen it 20 times.
So before I came on this trip, I watched Chimp Empire, which is a 4-part docuseries on Netflix, and it's about the largest chimp empire in Ngogo, which is a forest region of Africa, and they have
the Congo.
I believe the Congo.
Great film.
Don't quote me on that. They have the largest population of chimps there, and they're following the largest tribe that's ever been recorded. It's got like over 100 members, and they're just basically following the alpha and all of the main characters in that tribe.
An alpha named Jackson.
Yeah.
Sounds really good, but when you hear it nonstop,
Wait, we're not going to
excites me.
fully describe it right now.
So, okay, we won't go any deeper. Please watch, but if you don't get chimp references, you got to watch that after you watch
and
this
we've spent a lot
podcast.
of the time just making chimp and monkey noises every
yeah.
time
So
we're
every now and then,
excited.
like you'll see us on top of a mountain, just go.
And
Yeah.
then people watch us and they're like, they're just being clearly
Weird.
inappropriate.
So this originated because Michael and Dekie were trying to figure out an electrical
How
outlet,
did we?
some advanced piece of technology.
We hadn't even heard about chimp and
no.
I think it was just like the whole thing of fire, man.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, so they start making monkey noises because like
This is back in Scotland, by the way, in Edinburgh.
No, like we figured it out, and I hear this, and I instantly go back because I've been making some monkey noise at my wife back home because I already thought this was hilarious, and so I hear you guys doing it, and I'm like, they've seen the documentary, and I go like full ape mode.
We all jumped on each other on the bed. We're wrestling, making monkey noises, and we have no idea what you mean. So
Yeah.
that's a lovely moment.
So that's where the genesis of all this. But we're going up the mountain.
I need to say one thing that had been said about this entire time trial that we were on is I had been pulled aside by our producer, Michael, and he had said, Dekie, I need you to really push a sense of urgency.
Yeah. What I needed to clarify was in the camera, in the content, like you did on some of the
I
other
push that sense of urgency for everybody.
because I forgot to add that bit. And I think because I didn't add that bit, you added urgency.
Yeah.
But
so
before we get to the urgency, I took some from the previous mountains. You were giving me some tips about some of my breathing.
Yeah.
And I don't know if were you hearing me doing like the big deep breaths at the start of the
No,
thing?
I just heard you being slow.
And another point that we should actually make is, so for people that don't know what the Three Peaks Challenge is for it, it's climbing the highest peak of England, Scotland, and Wales in 24 hours, and you have to go up and down all three of them. It's not just to the top of the third one. Yeah. So to be on time, you actually have to push it and go quickly.
And in my mind for the second one, I was like, I'm going to focus on breathing. I'm not going to try talking, and I'm just going to try find that pace where my head doesn't throb. And I'm just going to listen to you talk about chimps because I actually enjoy it, which you guys thought it was me being down, but I was like, this is good. I'm going to pace.
yeah, so me and Dekie are just being psychotic at this point. Like we're saying anything that we can possibly think of, trying to be high energy. Michael has shut down completely. He's not responding. He's just like,
And Paul's got his jobs in the background.
You even
too.
asked me a question. You're like, what type of carpet would you use to make socks? And I'm like, I will answer at the end of the
Yeah, that's when I knew things were really bad. Because if Michael doesn't answer a carpet question, you know he's in pain.
And Dekie's like just standing next to me, like, I honestly don't know what he said. And I'm like, how about you just go fuck off? Like pretty much.
Yeah.
How about you go fuck off and talk somewhere else? And I was just done. I didn't want to hear anyone tell me to go faster again.
Yeah. So at that point, I had kind of resigned. I'm like, well, better take in the view. We're not going to make this challenge.
And when Pez told me off, I had it. I like flipped a switch in my head, and Michael's all like, "Just get it on camera. Tell the camera how you feel." So I just pulled out the camera and said, "I quit." And then I just didn't say another word for like an hour and a half.
It was about a 10-second thing. You looked at it and you're like, I give up. I quit.
Yeah. So this is at the 24 hours awake mark. Plus we're a mountain and a half in. So
Yeah.
we're pretty exhausted and we're getting to that.
We were
gear-
actually pretty close to the top of the second one at this stage.
Yeah. And we'd gotten up in less time than what it was originally going to be.
Yeah. Despite being like extremely miserable and irritable on the way up,
And slow.
we did
We were actually above pace.
we did make it quite well. Yeah.
But no.
We finally got to the top. We did everything we needed to. The eye-roll bag was shitting me. I was about to yeet that off the fucking hill. And then we moved back down. And the worst part about all this, Spanish John is just trooping in the background.
he is.
Yeah.
Oh.
And we're just, I'm like, we are the worst.
And we
like,
haven't spent any
people.
time really talking to him. Like he's waited. He's driven 2 hours. He's waited in the middle of the
Took
night
a day
for
off
us.
work.
And we're just like, we're going up, going down. Well done, Spanish John. You great job. Like we haven't actually like put any effort into that person or time. And yeah.
So yeah, I love Spanish John. He's actually been a long time supporter of mine
Yeah.
too. So I felt really bad, and this was what was going through my head the whole time. Like we've come all this way to the UK. We're climbing up, doing the 3 Peaks challenge, which I think is a cool challenge in itself. The whole dynamic of it is actually really cool. But we've got so much stuff going on. We're trying to film for our YouTube content. We're trying to enjoy the moment. We're trying to tick off mountains. We're doing all this stuff and meet people. So how about we just embrace the moment instead of fucking caring about a time trial?
Yeah.
And that's what I was thinking about the whole way down.
Yeah. And then we on the very first quarter on the way down, we bumped into the
Retro Chameleon.
Retro Chameleon who'd come on like the time that we said that we were going to leave from, but we'd already gone. So he was just like, well, I'll just try.
So he was 3/4 of the way up when we were coming down, and we were like, "Hey, man, well, we're going down. You can either come or not." And we just kept going down. And so he made it all the way to that point just to not actually summit it himself because he turned around because he wanted to hang with us.
Yeah.
He actually seemed pretty happy about not having all the way up there.
But we like made sure, and that's another thing as well. We're like, oh, we better get photos with these guys too. Like it was very, very rushed.
Yeah. So yeah, that was probably a bummer because it would have been great to chat with those guys a little bit more. Did get to say a few words to them, but we were all pretty irritable. We probably weren't our best selves, and
at this stage, about this point, is when Jared goes, I need to go.
yeah. So this is the mountain.
Because of the drinking of not water.
So the last thing I drank was like 4 to 5 scoops of Gamer Subs. And I had a Prime because me and Dekie loaded up on Prime.
And a Prime is like, it's not much. It's a
so
pretty small bottle.
I brought this Prime up with me. I didn't drink it. I'm like, when I get thirsty, I'll drink this. So on the way down, I feel a rush of like just sweat pouring over my body. And I'm like, I need to get down and find a bathroom like ASAP. So, and I was traveling light, right? Because I didn't want to pack a bunch of water and it weighed me down. And then I get down and I've got 2 liters of water in my backpack. So I'm like, when we get to the car, I'll rehydrate and I'll be fine for the next mountain. So I sprint down ahead of you guys, make it to the bathroom safe and sound, and we're ready to go. We hop in the car, we get going, and I think it was Michael who. So I'm sitting in the front,
And
Michael-
Paul's decided to drive because he's feeling like I just need to drive. I want to get there.
I'll give context. I get really anxious with other people driving. I struggle to relax. I've been in a few car accidents where I wasn't driving. So at this point, I was a little bit like driving actually helps me relax. So I thought it'd be a good idea. I just get us out back onto the
Sitting
highway.
next to you in the back while you're watching somebody else drive is just as stressful. watching them.
Well, I'm
being
like
stressed.
pushing the brake pedal as we go
Yeah.
to corners. So
Yeah, so-
in my mind, anyway. So moving on. So I was like, I'll just get us out into the highway, and then Jared can take over. So then that way I can hopefully get some rest in.
Yeah, so I was feeling all right, and I had a few nuts, and they're really salty. And I'm like, well, I'm starting to get pretty thirsty now. I need to start that rehydration
How would
process.
you not start?
And well, the car was locked when I got back, so I didn't drink anything. And I'm like, well, do I drink this Prime? I'm like, it's just like so syrupy and like it's got so much potassium in it. I think that's what actually caused.
Yeah, no, it wasn't the game and stuff.
my
It's definitely the
bathroom.
Prime.
Well, it was a mix of a lot of things. And so I'm getting really thirsty, and I'm sitting in the front seat. And I'm like, oh, I'm actually starting to get pretty lightheaded, and I'm like gripping the door handle and like trying to keep my eyes open, and I'm like trying also not to vomit. And this thought goes through my mind. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna be like, pull over and get the camera, because I was like right at the point, like 9 out of 10, I'm about to puke, and luckily didn't get to that point. But we were driving along, we get to the highway. Paul looks over to me and he says, "All right. I think you got to drive. I'm getting pretty tired. And there was no way I could drive at that point. So you had stopped, and I opened the door and just like kind of get down on my knees on the grass, and I'm like, okay, it's gonna come out. It's gonna come out.
We were filming as well,
and nothing came out. Luckily, I felt so bad. We pull up to a gas station. I go inside.
Yeah, I probably should chime in here. So it was clear that he was dehydrated. So I was like, we'll get into a gas station, we'll get some water, and we'll reevaluate everything we're actually doing at this stage.
Yeah.
And come up with an actual proper plan to move forward.
Yeah, I'll mention we were still on time at this point. Like we were on track. Like the ETA was noon, and that's right when we needed to start the next climb to make it. So I get this water, I drink about 1.5 liters, and I'm actually feeling pretty good now. So it like rejuvenated me. So it clearly was the dehydration. So between my bathroom explosion and sweating on the mountain, not drinking enough, that's what dehydrated.
I think Jared had maybe like half of the liquid he needed to have on the first mountain, but all of them at this point.
Yeah.
He had it was like the man didn't drink anything.
I think I had all the water on the first mountain.
Yeah. He drank like 7 liters.
Yeah, it was great. I'm like a camel.
We only bought 10 for all. We bought 10 for all of us.
The thing is, like, there will be points where I'm like, all right, I've got water here. Jared, do you need me to refill? He's like, fine, man, I've got a prime. And I'm like, all right, no, just pour the rest into mine.
Yeah. Because I've been used to being dehydrated before, and I was like, when I get back to the car, I'll hyperhydrate and I'll feel good.
Hyperhydrate.
Hyperhydrate.
Another Aventura Australia tip.
Yeah.
So at this stage, we've resupplied some water.
Yeah. I think I took over driving.
No, I'm still driving.
Oh, are you
at
still
this
driving?
stage.
Okay.
And I go, all right, well, because you're like, I just need a bit more rest.
Yeah.
So I go, all right, I think I've got another half an hour in me. Now, I at this stage, I've been awake well over a day. And I was like, I need, I'm never going to put these guys at a point where I feel like I'm actually going to really be dangerous and micro sleep and stuff. But so I pushed myself another half an hour that I felt safe. And I was like, all right, I'm pulling over here. Michael will take over. And he had probably had like maybe half an hour of sleep at this stage in the back. Not great sleep, but.
That wasn't great. Wait, on our first. Can I just pull back to something before we started the 3 weeks challenge? When me and Paul were in the back sleeping, before we started the challenge, did you guys turn on the heat seats and all the heaters and stuff?
Yeah.
Just to be dicks?
No, because we were like playing with the features of the car. Who doesn't love a warm ass?
So we had seat heaters on, and we had icy cold aircon on our face.
So I'm sitting like in the car trying to get some rest before the start of the climb because I knew I had to drive later. And I just remember waking up going, fuck, it's so hot. What is happening? And Paul's just like, they've turned on the heat seaters and they're heat. And I'm just like, what?
It would blow hot air up the back of the seat for him, and our feet was like topping
so
the.
hot.
Yeah, but we were feeling great because the icy cold aircon was hitting us in the face.
So we hadn't had any rest. But anyway, we started driving. When I jumped in the car, started driving. I had a great conversation with you two boys.
Yeah, so we were all extremely
That was
tired.
not a good I hated that car.
Did you?
Yeah.
Why?
I think that really hurt some of our relationship between us.
What was the problem?
That's why the other
I
day
thought
when
it
you were
was
asking me to
great.
bare my soul about my relationship with my parents and my religion, I was like, just get away.
Why? What was the topics that offended you?
Not sleeping. I was so fat. I was like, how long have we been talking about goddamn our first masturbation stories? I was like, I just don't care. Shut the fuck.
I needed
But
someone
you
to
kept
keep me-
talking about it. You kept telling us about your Barnes and Noble story.
What?
You had headphones on.
So
Yeah.
okay,
So-
good
There
context.
was a baby. There was a baby changing table involved with it as well, which makes it even worse.
All right, we'll get there. So Paul put on the noise canceling headphones.
I put on noise cancelling
He was
headphones.
trying to
and
sleep.
glasses and
And-
everything just to give myself some.
I'm sitting in the back seat. I'm looking at Michael's eyes through the rearview mirror, and I'm like, I gotta make sure he stays awake.
And I hadn't slept, so I'm like, I've got to keep talking. If I keep talking, I'll be fine.
So I think of this fucked up story from my high school, and I just start telling
Oh
it.
god,
Yeah,
yeah.
and
That's what put me in a bad mood.
Well, no, we won't get into the details
Wait,
of
is that? Oh, I remember the story.
Yeah, you might have heard this one.
Yeah.
So then I think it might have been Dekie, might have been someone else. Someone else goes into a high school story.
Yeah,
we
the
all start,
suitcase primary
Okay, it
school
doesn't
one.
matter.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
keep moving.
we all start going into childhood, like fucked up, weird childhood stories, and
A lot of masturbation.
It's just things to keep us awake, basically.
Yeah,
and it did work. I'll put it.
It worked for
I'll
me
say it
driving
that
the
way.
car, but I've broken Decky in our relationship
Yeah.
apparently, this is new. We'll work on this later.
Yeah, and turns out if you want to go through like a therapy session, stay up for like 40 hours. You become really open. Maybe
But we finally get to
McDonald's.
McDonald's.
Oh god.
Is that where we got?
Oh,
Did we get
this
McDonald's?
This is the point we needed some energy because
Yeah.
we've been eating like candy and
And when you've been drinking Prime all day, you need to put something healthy in your body.
So we
got
our
something
new plan when we pulled over was to actually just go, let's enjoy the third mountain. We're definitely going to get up in under the 24-hour mark.
Yeah.
But we won't get back down. And whatever group of people that are there, we'll just walk up with. Whatever
Yeah.
pace they're at, we'll just do it.
And we did need gas. So we found the closest McDonald's and we pulled over for gas.
And this is the start of something horrible.
Oh my gosh.
That was my first one.
That was your first one.
Yeah.
So, Dekie, tell them about the
So we went to
sandwiches.
McDonald's.
Should we just wait till we do all the McSpicies and then?
No, this is
This
the
is
start
this-
of
yeah.
many visits to McDonald's and many poor choices. Apparently, McDonald's has, at least in the UK, I don't know if it's elsewhere, but it's not in Mexico, but they have something called the McSpicy. And I've had like a McChicken, spicy McChicken way back in the day, and it was not good. I've had, but this was the McSpicy, and it is like a proper like spiced patty, and it's not McChicken patty. It's bigger than that. It's like
It's like a deep fried chicken breast.
and it's actually like pretty hot for fast food. I'm not like, oh man, the McSpicy's hot, but like for fast food it is, because usually fast food is not very spicy, and and it tasted amazing. It is like
We all had one, didn't we?
it is knocking it out of the park as far as like, and no, it's not. It's
Knocked
not.
many things out of the park.
I'm not saying it's the best spicy chicken sandwich in the world from a fast food place, but I was shocked from the McDonald's quality.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so I had one or two that time, and that was my first thing. And when I ate it, I was like, "Oh yeah, this is good. This is good.
It's great.
But I did notice that within 15 minutes, I was kind of like, "Oh," but that was it. That was it. And we'll get into more of that later.
Yeah. So we get to the mountain.
And there's a group of people that wait in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've been waiting there for quite a long time. Some of the
boys.
guys had taken time off work, made a long weekend of it, had booked accommodation.
Yeah, and the great thing about this was because we went in the mindset that we're just going to go up at their pace. It was honestly a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It was a blast. That
We
was
had
the most
Slacky
fun.
Chan,
Yeah.
we had Eddie Bram, we had Matt, we had
Chock.
Kieran.
Kieran, Chop. We had James and
Joel.
And
If you forget somebody, they're going to be ruined.
How many were those climbing? There were 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Matt,
Alright.
Joel, James, Chop.
Slacky Chan,
Eddie.
Eddie.
that was it because everyone who came went to the meetup too,
Yep.
right?
So yeah, we
If we forgot
Lotus
you,
went halfway up, didn't she?
Yeah, she got to the star point.
Yep. Nice.
We never saw her.
No, but we saw her the next day.
So we did this hike, and it's not really a steep incline. It's just a fairly
a
gradual
long-
for the very
Yeah.
first bit, and then it
Like
gets
the very first, like
half.
the very first bitumen part's a bitch.
okay. That was a bit more, but
That was only like,
that was to get to the start.
yeah,
but
that's
to
just
get to the
start.
5K mark of the 8K hike, I think it was 7.5, was like pretty just gradual incline, which was really nice. Bit of a warm up for the legs, and
Yep.
then
Yep.
the last bit's a little bit steeper, but it was a great experience. And the top of that mountain, Snowdon,
Yeah,
it's kind
beautiful.
of like cliff edges on both sides, and you like go along this like ridge line to the very top, and then it's really
You got
cool.
valleys, lakes. You have goats on cliffs. It was
sheep. You had a
gorgeous.
person yelling out, "Oh!
Yeah.
Not what's going
Bridge
into.
that smelled like piss.
Bridges that smell like piss." I actually didn't talk to the guys a lot. I literally just kept the same pace, and every time you guys stopped, I just kept going.
Yeah. Michael looked like a sad kid walking home in the rain.
Yeah, that's my
Just
move.
slowly. Boom, boom, boom.
How do you
boom,
think
boom,
I get my wife to
boom.
lay with me at night?
I can see why.
I get pity. I get pity sex.
Wow.
Well, you conquered it, and I was so glad that all the guys were there because if we would have been stuck with each other, we probably would have started bickering. Could have gone pretty rad because we were all in a terrible mood. So having all these people there gave some great morale, gave some good conversations. We supped up again.
And we got to the top around the 22-hour 50 mark.
Yeah, we all put on a lot of sunscreen or a towel.
Shout out to our boy Kieran.
Yeah, lucky Kieran.
Yeah,
So and we got to the top 22-hour 50-minute mark, and we probably spent the next hour
Yeah.
up there.
Yeah.
I don't think we actually came down before the 24-hour mark.
Oh,
I don't think we did. And so we took photos. made videos. We
Laid around.
People
relaxed.
called their
it
parents
was really
and
nice. just
family
hanging out
members.
there. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was.
and it was a great ending to the three.
That was a great way to end a very and it started off like we're doing it, and then just went to shit, and then it kind of turned out great. Like it's a happy memory.
And Kieran and Slacky Chan.
Yeah, they fell
didn't walk
behind.
with us. Yeah.
Yeah.
But they went at their own pace, and this is exactly what you should do if you're hiking. Don't try and keep up with a bunch of morons. Just walk at your own pace and enjoy it. Yeah. Take in the views. Don't try and kill yourself. And that's how you're gonna like this kind of outdoor
and
stuff.
they pushed through, they did it, and super proud of those boys as well. So were you proud of them?
I was.
They could have been faster.
So we come down, we completed. I just want to note that we got down at 6:30.
Yeah.
And we spent about an hour messing around at the top.
Yeah.
If we had pushed it just a little bit, we could have completed the challenge.
Yeah.
But I'm much glad that I'm very
Yeah,
glad that
we
did
would
it.
have had over an hour to get down, and we could have done it. But I think Paul made the call. He's like, let's actually spend the time with the guys instead of just leave them, which is
really
what
like-
we should have done on the second one too.
Yeah.
So like I can't speak for everyone, but I know Eddie came like 4 or 5 hours away.
Yeah.
And if you're driving 4 and 5 hours away just to like have a bunch of dudes just run off on you, that's a bit of a dick move by us.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I'm glad we didn't. So
So
and
apologies to Spanish John and Retro.
yeah, I felt really like
Yeah.
I remember straight after I felt like shit.
Yeah.
Um
Especially after all the support you've given Paul and also us on this journey as well. So call out to you boys.
Yeah,
and
it was great to meet you, and we're really glad that you guys joined us for the trip. It made it a lot more enjoyable having some support out there.
Yeah, we're gonna try and avoid time trials in the future when it comes to if we're doing anything with anybody. Because it kind of ruins the experience of doing it with any of
even
you
just
guys.
as a group with us, I think it's better just not to.
Yeah. It's good to have goals, but sometimes your goal shouldn't be an arbitrary time limit when there's just some amazing things that you can be doing.
I think it
and
broke
enjoying
away
the
from
moment.
the actual experience itself. Like we could have just been focusing on enjoying the moment.
Yeah. And me and Paul talked about like you could do that same challenge, but over 3 days, camp on each one of the mountains. You'd have an amazing time.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, go to the pub the next day for lunch and then climb up the next mountain. You know, you'd have a great time.
if we were just those 4 guys that just showed up and we weren't trying to make content, we weren't trying to make Instagram reels, we weren't trying to make posts.
We had a driver.
We had a driver. Like if we weren't trying to do so much already, maybe then we can consider the extra challenge of a time trial. But because we're always got so much on our plate and our mind and thinking, did we get the drone shot? Did we get the IRL thing? Did we get this? Did we capture the story and the essence of the mountain? It's just too hard to add a time trial to it. So
Yeah, but it was fun. It was a great experience. It was definitely one of the most challenging things I've done.
the sleep thing, is
Yeah.
one of the hardest things.
that sleep really messes you up.
Yeah,
does.
because I think we were awake for 40 hours by the time we went to sleep.
Yeah.
But no, at the end of that, we went,
Yeah, there was not sleep right after we got
No.
done with that.
but it was worth it.
Oh God, we finally make it down from Snowden.
Yeah.
Like my feet are broken. That was the only thing that really, really hurt is just my feet.
Mm-hmm.
My feet just like
My fragile,
ached. Yeah. It wasn't from walking on sharp rocks. It was just like they just
it
ached.
didn't really-
It was like after they felt like after you ran the marathon.
Yeah. But like you didn't really show that pain or anything until it was like right near the end where you're like, I'm sitting down.
Yeah.
And you're just like, fuck. So
And so like it was one of the things we got down. We knew that our accommodation was right at the bottom, pretty much like really close to where we had parked. And we get down and well, we didn't get to sleep.
no.
We had to go have dinner, which was actually very nice and actually fantastic. I was dreading it. I was like, I'm going to fall asleep at the table.
Mm-hmm.
He
And
even said, "Fuck that! I'm not gonna have a shower."
Yeah.
yeah.
And
So
I made him have a shower.
We all had showers, which was one of the nicest showers I've ever had in my life. It was great.
Mine, they had one of those things where you pay £1 and then it starts the timer. But I think when you get in there, you press the button. But my button had already been pushed in. So I was fully dressed, put the £1 in and just started showering. And I was like, I've got to get undressed and everything right. But there's nothing to hang up. You don't want to get your clothes wet.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure I only got like a 4-minute shower. But still, it was a great shower.
Yeah, we probably all needed a little bit longer, but we got cleaned up enough for dinner.
But no, we got to meet Lasagna Queen.
Yes.
And
Which
shout
I've
out
been
to
waiting
Lasagna
for a
Queen.
long time. She messaged us like in the very start, even before we had you guys on the trip, that she wanted to put us up and make us lasagna. And it was like, yes.
Who had only just popped out a baby like a
7
week
days.
earlier.
Yeah,
Yes.
7
Yeah.
days before. And I'm sitting there going, if this was me and my wife, like this would be so stressful. Like you're trying to nest and they're trying to run a business as well of like people and camping everywhere. Like the fact that they did all of that for us, made us lasagna, gave us yurts for free as well. What's the name of their business?
Camping in Lamberis.
Camping in Clamberis or Lamberis. Yes, it's the
Clamberis.
And if you're gonna do the Snowdon,
Yeah.
if you're gonna
Start
hike
from
Snowdon,
there.
it's a beautiful
shortcut.
start point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You cut off the
Gorgeous.
first, like,
Yeah,
I don't know, probably 40
Yeah,
minutes,
super
30 minutes.
steep paved part, which is super annoying.
yeah.
So you get right into nature. There's a bunch of sheep running around. There's glamping, and there's also just paddocks where you can just set up your tent.
I think it's like £10 a night, and you can.
Yeah, it's
Camp.
amazing. You have a
Not
shower.
in the glamping tents, but you can set your tent up
Yeah.
in the paddock.
They have a
Absolutely
kitchen area.
Yeah.
But their yurts are fantastic. Her husband was just as
Ash was
hospitable.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
Absolutely
fed us.
amazing.
They gave us beer, apple cider.
Oh, I drank-
Let's get down to the real bit. Her name's Lasagna Queen. She can make some killer lasagna, but I don't
Oh,
eat
it was-
fucking lasagna. It's got sauce and cheese and everything that I don't enjoy. And I was like, for one, we hadn't eaten anything except for those couple of spicy McChickens, which really had started to really do something dirty to me at this point. I had been to the restroom like a few times at this point already, multiple times for some issues that were resulting just from these like one or two. I think I had one that first. It was only one because I remember I didn't want to overfill my stomach.
Yeah.
because we were
Luckily,
so hungry.
you only bought 5 after that.
Yeah, we were so hungry at that first McDonald's drop, but we're like, we'll just get one burger.
Didn't
each.
want to overeat it and hurt myself.
Yeah.
I hurt myself. Anyway, I walk in there and I was kind of like, I was already grumpy. I was like, oh my God, now I'm going to watch all these guys eat lasagna and I'm just going to sit here starving because I'm such a picky eater and I won't actually eat lasagna, even though I could just suck it the fuck up and actually eat lasagna, but I'm going to be too dumb to eat lasagna because, and then her husband brings out a huge loaf of all this garlic bread and French fries. And he's like, here you go, Dekie. And I was like, oh, thank God. It was one of the greatest meals I've ever had. Garlic bread and French fries.
Yeah.
I'm not looking for a compliment, but I always try and make sure you are fed. Every day, I always try and make sure Dekie gets at least a proper bit of food into him, even if it is garlic bread and chips.
And it was truly amazing. Thank you. Yes.
That night was probably one of the heaviest night's sleep. The bed felt amazing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, as soon as I laid down, it was just out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
Yes.
we wake up bright and early and head off to Marauders.
was that the morning we woke up and made them breakfast? Or was that the morning after?
No,
Okay.
that was about 6 hours of sleep.
Yep.
6 hours of sleep, and we were back up headed to Manchester, 2 hours away.
Heading to Manchester to meet some
Are
gaming.
you finding a trend
developers.
in this that we probably do need to have a day off soon?
Just some sleep.
Yeah. So we go to the.
It's like we have to be up in 7 hours from now to go climb another mountain.
Are you saying right now?
Yeah.
Oh fuck.
Oh, I forgot we're climbing.
It's all right. So we get up because Team 17 is a publisher for Small Impact Games, which are the developers for Marauders, an extraction shooter that went into early access last year. I've played a lot of it. I've done some events for it. Pest has played some of it. So we all know them, and they had been very vocal, like, oh, if you guys are in the UK or whatever, like come to the studio. And so we were like, well, this is our only free time. Let's wake up at 6 a.m. and head up to Manchester and go see them. So we make the drive up there. It's about 2 hours and get to go to the Team 17 studio. And it was a great time. All the devs came in. A lot of them had to they aren't usually working in that studio. So they all trained in, came and met us. And it was very rewarding experience. I'm sure Jared really enjoyed it considering he doesn't know even what the game is, but
Yeah, my favorite part was the breakfast. They gave us a great breakfast.
It did.
And I liked the breakfast. They had coffee too. It was good.
No. Anyway, we experienced that. It was great to meet the team.
It was.
Uh,
But the main thing that was important that day was to get back to Wales and go hit up the pub.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm looking at Dekie for a reason.
Yeah. Well, wait, are we talking about the washing or the Welsh pub?
The Welsh pub.
Oh, because we had
Went to the Anglesey Arms.
Yeah. What are you talking about after the Anglesey
Yeah.
Arms or before?
Well, we went to the Anglesey Arms. We caught up with all the people that did the climb with
We're
us.
going to talk about the washing first.
okay.
Because we have a few McSpicy's to add in there.
Yeah, so remember that McSpicy we talked about? Well, Jared and I went to go wash some clothes, which was an adventure. He ended up bleeding. We went to 4 different washing areas, and we ended up using a washing machine, vending machine, which I didn't even know existed. And it robbed us about 30 pounds in drying fees. So that was a great time. Also made us about 30 to 40 minutes late to the meetup.
Yes.
During that time, we also took the opportunity to get 3 more spicy chickens each. Or McSpicy's, excuse me. 3 more McSpicy's each. And listen to a bunch of Welsh kids talk next to us.
Yeah, it was hilarious. There's like this 6-year-old kid, and he's like, what did he say? He's like, oh, excuse me, darling, would you hold my keys for me?
Which is not, he had to be there, I guess.
Yeah.
And then we couldn't understand anything else he said.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
thoroughly confusing. And then they started pointing at us because we were like the only people there that weren't. It was a very weird situation.
Yeah.
We had a lot of McSpicy's.
Yeah. So we did that. We showed up to the meetup. That meetup, amazing.
Those guys were amazing. All of them.
Amazing.
Just being able to have a drink and chat with all those boys was really, really good.
Yeah, we had some great conversations, met a lot of Dekie's followers. And before when we were picking out this pub, who was it? It wasn't Ash, it was the other fellow.
Lasagna Queen's friend.
Yes. He mentioned, oh, you can go to this pub, but don't go to this pub. This pub is full of Welsh people, and they don't like anyone who speaks English.
He's like, it's a proper Welsh pub. Don't go in there if you speak English. And as soon as this was when we were having lasagna the night before, and instantly I like looked at everybody. It's like,
Yeah. I
We're
looked
going
in
to
his
that pub.
eyes and I was like, oh no.
I'm like, never tell Dekie don't go into a certain place.
and I was like, oh, we're going. So we're at this meetup. Also, big shout out to all my guys out there. We had a real life boys night. It was sick.
Yeah.
It was sick.
It was sick.
Paul and I had gone to bed at this point.
Yep.
And so yeah, we're at the original meetup, and Paula and Michael are like, all right, we're gonna go to bed. And they're like, you guys can stay if you want. And I was like, oh, just let me finish this beer. And while I was finishing this last beer, I was like, wait a second, what about the Welsh pub? And I started talking to some of the locals around, and they're like, no, that shut down. And then some random guy that wasn't even with us was all like, oh, you're looking for a Welsh pub? And I was all like, yeah. He's like, well, that one shut down. I was like, no. And then he's all like, but there's another.
There's always another.
He's like, the Ship and Castle. And I was like, the Ship and Castle. And he is all like, yeah. And I was like, it's nearby. He's like, yeah, it's like 2 blocks away. And I was like, it's like they only speak Welsh in there. And he's like, oh, yeah.
And before I left, I was like, now, Dekie, remember, I've got some drone shots for you tomorrow. And then I said to Jared, I'm like, just be home in good condition.
Yeah. And I was thinking like,
I don't
all
even
right,
think you guys know part of where this story goes. Oh,
yeah, are we going to give the whole
whole story. I want to know for the first
Should we do
time.
it for the BPBs? Because we're getting pretty close.
No, I want to hear this.
Well, we got a lot to get through before.
No, I don't think we'll go through the full 2
no,
weeks.
I want to go through the whole story.
I think
No,
we should.
I'm talking about
But
after this
should we
Welsh
save it
Wales.
for the BPBs?
No. So they leave, and everybody else stays. Like the rest of the boys, or a couple of guys had left throughout it. But
Eddie
a lot of the
offered
guys are
to,
staying.
Eddie offered to drive us home.
Yeah, Eddie said he would drive us home so we didn't have to get a taxi. And he had already not been drinking because he knew he had to drive home that day.
Yeah.
Big shout out to Eddie McBram. Guys are free.
Yeah, yeah.
He
In a
came
good
to
way.
everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Always in a layer of sweat because he's always running to get there from a train. But he came to everything.
So
Yeah.
we start making our way there, and it's getting dark. It's like already like 11, which throws me off. But it's like dusk now, and we're getting over there, and that's when. Was it before or after when things really started getting rough?
It was after because there was not a toilet in
Oh yeah.
I haven't heard any of this.
Oh,
So
yeah.
this is the return of the McSpicy's. So we go to the pub, and me and Dekie are the only ones that are not English, and they hate the English, right? Is what
they're-
we've been told.
They're like English speakers is one thing, but the English are another.
Yeah, and all the boys were English who showed up. So me and Dekie decide we're going to go in first, check it out. Dekie's going to use some of his charismatic American charm and try and win over the crowd. And then
What's up, gamers?
Yeah, and then we'll invite you all in. So Dekie, I'll let you take it from
Well,
here.
like my charms usually it's not charm, it's just being obnoxious. So
like my charm.
it's basically like the Old West. All the windows are like super tinted, you can't see in. It's like curtains or something over them, and this big wooden door. And I'm sitting there, and I'm just like, what's through this door is gonna change everything.
Yeah,
Did we film any of this?
double doors.
And I turned around to the boys and I said, 1 minute, and then you come in. But except for me and Jared, and they're like, "Yeah, good luck with that." And so I go in, and I swing that door. It's like a Western movie, you know, when the guy comes in and swings the saloon doors open. It's like that, but it's not double saloon door. So I like swing it open. We walk in, and I walk straight up to the bar, and at that point, everybody stops, and they're all like.
Yeah.
And because it was clearly like, even though I didn't speak yet, they're like, he's not here every night of the week. Who's this? That's the kind of local place like those guys are there every
regulars.
day. Yeah. And there's an older gentleman as the barkeep, and I walk up and I pound down both my hands on the bar and I say, I'm looking for something Welsh. And he stares at me. And it was like, it was intimidating. And but he just like he doesn't say a single word. He just sits there and stares at me. And he's like, and I was all like, oh shit.
Full on stalemate.
And I was like, well, this is my chance. I was like, either I can back down or I can man up. So I just stare back and I was just like, and I swear it lasted like 30 seconds. It was probably like 5, but it took forever.
It felt like
Did
an
we
eternity.
get Dom Daddy? Was it Dom?
And he's just staring at me. I'm staring at him. And then eventually he's like, well, this guy's Welsh. He's Welsh. He's Welsh. And he is all like, we're all Welsh. And I was all like, well, then what am I drinking? And he starts pouring drinks.
Oh.
And everybody was friendly. And it was like, it was fantastic.
Yeah, the boys come in.
All the British guys hear that everything's okay. So they all come in.
There's a guy sitting on a stool and he's like just wobbling back and forth, like with his eyes closed, barely staying up.
But Jared literally had been like, he's like, when you were staring that guy down, he was all like, this was going to end one of 2 ways. And I was afraid it was going to end the wrong way. And I was like, at least Jared knows like some Taekwondo. You can help protect my bitch ass. Like, I was like, but dude, it was terrifying, but it was awesome. And then they were like, I passed the test. We got accepted in. They were like, sit wherever you want. And we had an amazing time. Everybody came in. We had drinks on drinks. We drank Welsh vodka. It was blue.
We had
all
Fireball
sorts of,
and
Oh my
what was
God. How
Fireball
much
and
did you
what?
guys drink?
I don't know. We had a lot of stuff.
The boys were buying us shots. We were buying Welsh drinks. They have a Welsh screwdriver, which is like blue vodka with orange juice.
Yeah. God, how much did
It
we
turns
drink
green?
that night?
And then they complain to me that they're tired every day. And
Well,
they're not getting
in
enough
my mind,
sleep.
you guys
And
just,
the
like, went
days
to
are
that-
too long.
Yeah, in my mind, you guys just went to like that pub and had one beer and just had a bit of a laugh.
I
we
mean,
did.
yeah.
The boys taught us the save the queen trick.
Okay.
That's where they
they dropped the pound in there. Yeah.
in your glass, and they say save the queen, and you have to stop the queen from drowning.
Yeah, and I almost swallowed it. I was pulling like dirty coins out of my mouth and stuff. Anyway, it ended and we were like wrapping up and we were like, and I was like, 1 second, let me go ask this last guy what the last drink I should get. And there's this really, really old man. He's probably, 60, 70.
Real regular.
Yeah.
Regular.
And he's sitting over there and he's all like, he wasn't with anybody. And I walk over there and I'm like, hey man, he's like, oh, hey. And I was like, what should I drink? And he's all like, oh, you want something Welsh to drink? And I was like, yeah. And so he's like, I'm going to order your drink. So I was like, oh, this is great. And I'm looking over at the other guys. I'm like, look, I made a new friend. And everybody's like, oh, look, Dekie made a new friend. And so then he's like, he orders a drink and I start drinking it and he's like wanders off and he like goes to the other side where the bathroom was, or at least I thought. And so I'm sitting there and I'm drinking.
Well, you should mention, he left his full drink on the table. he went over, bought you and himself another drink. And then he walks away.
And then I'm drinking for a bit, and I turn around. I'm like, guys, you seen the old guy? And they're like, and one of the guys is like, yeah, he walked outside. And I was like, no, he's got his drink over here. And he's like, no, like he walked outside. And I was like, no.
Yeah, 100%.
So I throw down my drink too, and I run out this door, and I'm sprinting through the streets of wherever we're at, and I see this. He's like 100 meters down the street in the middle of the road, and so I'm like, where's he going? and my first instinct is, hold on, let me go get my friend. So I start like running after him down the street. And all the guys, like, I think there's footage of like Kieran has of me chasing this guy down in the middle of the road. And he takes a left under some scaffolding. He goes down a side street out of camera view. And I quickly make the turn. I'm about 10 meters behind him. And I'm like, hey man, where are you going? And all he does is turn around. And he's all like, no, and just keeps running. And at that point, I was like, well, I'm not going to keep following him.
So Dekie comes back to the pub, like extremely disappointed by all this. We ended up like just chatting for a bit. And then the bartender comes outside and says, so you boys going home now? And we're like, yeah, we're going to call it. And he's like, okay, I'm going to lock the locals in. So he closes the door. And I guess after a certain time, as long as everyone in the bar is a local, they lock them all in so they don't go stumbling home drunk and hurt themselves. And they can keep drinking as long as they want.
Goodness me.
Yeah.
And then begins, and then it's like 1 at this time. So we start walking the other boys to their hostel. So we walk them across the little town there to their hostel. We get some pics with them.
You messaged me at 12 saying we're on our way home.
We were on our way home.
And then
We were on our way home for about 2.5 hours.
and then we start walking with Eddie back to his car, and that's when those McSpicies really start churning and burning. So I've had 4 spicies at this point, and
there's some chaos going on around in the town. There's cop cars. There's this guy like yelling at the cops, and there's an ambulance, and we're looking for a bathroom, and there's no bathrooms inside.
There's no bathrooms. And the original pub that we had been at with the other guys is right at the bottom of this massive castle. The Canfrin, I don't remember the town.
Canofin.
Castle.
Do you want this to be part of the full podcast, or do you want to put this on the BP?
I'll say it.
No, I feel like they need to hear it because you can't just leave a story on a cliffhanger.
We got a lot more for the BPBs. So
Wait, is there a lot more before the BPBs, but before you get home at night?
yeah, no, before we get home, before we even leave Canofin.
Yeah.
All right, well, we do need to because we've got sleep to do.
Stop. Let him finish.
Yeah, let's get this story out.
So-
the boys deserve it. If you watch this far, tell us you
we
watched
get
this
to
far.
the car, and I am like, Eddie, I'm going to shit my pants.
Yeah, but luckily Eddie, the MacGyver individual that he has.
He's like, I got wet wipes in the car. Why is that he have wet wipes in the car? I don't know. But he's like scrounging around. He's like crawling all through it. And he's like, I got wet wipes. And he's like pulling out like bowling balls and other random shit. And I'm like, Eddie. And he's like, I'm looking. And I've never seen somebody try and help a guy who's about to shit his pants so much. Eddie is frantic to
He
find
was
these.
panicking more than you were.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh my God. It feels like my stomach is bleeding. I am in so much pain. And eventually it's like, Eddie, it doesn't matter. So we're at...
Well, luckily I had a single napkin in my pocket.
I forgot about that. Wasn't going to do it. Anyway, there's this like area for all the boats to park, and the tide had gone out, which was really cool because all the boats are just sitting on the dirt. You could see it when we left. But like they're down. Like it's not, you can't walk to it. But there's a big like 10-foot cliff down to the water where they're on the ground.
So parallel to this cliff, there's a chain link fence.
Did you hold on to the fence and squat? You did, didn't you?
And there was no time to think, look, or take any caution. And I am out in the middle of the fucking open.
Well, I'll explain this first. So when we first went there in the light time, the tide was out and the boats were all sitting on the dirt, right? Kind of in the middle. But at this point, the tide had come back in.
Was it in?
Yeah, and the boat had drifted right up next to the dock.
And only after the very robust events that took place did I realize that I shit all over that man's boat.
Did you see it?
Yes.
Did you get a photo?
I didn't get a photo of that.
You guys
No.
both-
No, we left pretty quick.
So what, did you wipe your ass as well?
Well, Eddie found the wet wipes.
What? Did you just drop them on the boat? Did you?
We're never going back to Wales.
So if you own a boat in Carnarvon, we're sorry. Dekie, sorry.
And then we got in Eddie's car and we had a very eventful trip back to the campsite, and we'll end it there and save the rest for the BPBs.
Oh, thank
All right.
you guys for watching.
So, this is only the first portion of our trip. And we've got 4 more weeks to go. And we'll have to leave it there. But what an eventful week we had up to that point.
What made you feel like you couldn't tell us that story before?
I think it worked a lot better telling it live.
Oh shit!
So but
You shit on a man's boat, and after realizing it, you wiped your ass and put the things on the boat.
So if you guys like this podcast and you want to hear how the rest of the night turned out, make sure you tune into the BPBs where we post all of, also known as the behind the scenes.
For the other one, behind the scenes.
to the main channel.
Oh yeah, sorry. BPBs, bonus podcast bits.
Yeah.
You get to hear a little extra 30-minute ramble for us with some crazy stories we can't tell on YouTube.
Yeah, so that's all done on the Patreon. So patreon.com/before death, or it'll be below the channel, below in the description. You can also like and comment to help support us as well, and or follow our socials. It's really does mean a lot. We have 4 more weeks left of this trip, and it's been a fun trip. It's back with the boys.
It's been hectic, and it's been a lot
I
of
also
fun.
ate 3 more spicy McChickens, which we'll get into later on.
And by this time, that's when you introduced them to the rest of
Yeah.
So yeah, we do appreciate you guys watching each episode. Last time we got high. This time, Dekie got I don't know,
He shit
shat on a boat. The first time you shat on a boat. This is the
Yeah,
first.
that's the truth.
You know, that's going to be the title.
No.
Oh.
Anyway, so Dekie's got in. Is that kind of like sharding?
Well, I definitely wasn't solid.
Yeah,
All
that
right.
was.
Anyway, thanks guys. Before death.